Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a special edition tonight of IUP Hawk Talk. We're going to talk IUP football and recruits and what's in the future here after yesterday and re-signing day. Coming to you live, as always, from the C.H. Craft Kitchen here at the Hilton Garden Inn. And we have Coach Paul Tortorella with us as we do this each and every year, and the year's gone by. And yesterday was signing day, busy time. You guys have been busy for quite a while. And finally, I don't know, do you get a chance to take a breath and say, wow, now let's hope these guys come through for us. This is something you never know, but an exciting time for football fans for IUP.
Well, it's kind of a 2-month whirlwind. We really start heavily recruiting starting December 1. And really December and January is an everyday deal with recruiting. And, Monday and Tuesday is a dead period. You can't do any recruiting, but you're still calling kids to make sure that the guys that say they're coming are coming. And we didn't have any trepidations with any kids. Everybody that we thought would sign, signed. So took a deep breath later in the day yesterday, and hopefully the kids that we've evaluated are what we think they are.
Yeah. Let me just read from the release that came out earlier today for the fans who maybe didn't hear it overall. You have 22 signees. You went heavily into the WPIAL with 14. 4 sets of teammates. You rated the defensive backfield of Pittsburgh Central Catholic, 3, Elizabeth Forward 2, Farrell 2, Newcastle 2. 5 of the signees earned all-state honors. 20 plays earned all-conference honors at least once. 14 defensive players, 8 from the offensive side of the ball. Biggest group was defensive back with 6. Offensive line had 5. And you had 4 defensive line, 4 linebackers, 2 receivers, and a tight end. So that's quite a group. 22, that's a lot bigger than you had last year.
Well, we had the COVID year last year. I think we only signed 6 or 8 total last year. And we're still actually recruiting a couple guys, so there may be a couple additions here down the road here shortly. And we have a couple walk-ons that we don't put out, because they haven't been accepted in the school or yet. But we had a lot of numbers in this class because we didn't recruit a lot last year. We only brought in, like I said, I think it was 6 to 8 kids out of high school last year. Now, the numbers are high this year is because we only took 1 mid-year transfer out of the transfer portal. A lot of the other people in our league, when I look at their rosters, they 7, 8, 9, 10 guys they brought in transfers. So we decided that we were going to, take advantage of the high school kids that are being available because, number one, COVID is still going on. Like, that's a 4-year cycle. It's not just 1 year. So now the kids that were juniors last year, they're going to be seniors. Well, they would have been done, this year. So there's still a whole class we're still a whole class behind. So with the COVID still being a big part of it, and then the transfer portal now is just it's off the charts,
blowing up.
There's more high school kids to recruit. In a roundabout way, we looked at our list and we thought a decent handful, maybe 7 or 8 guys in the past with no transfer portal and no COVID would probably be FCS players. And we didn't, I think we lost 1 guy to an FCS school this year. And 2 of our guys we got had FCS offers. So we're really happy. I think we took advantage of the situation, and then our coaches did an unbelievable job. The assistants, support staff, trainer, every recruiting day and weekend we have our new strength coach, our trainer, obviously all the assistants, some student coaches, tremendous job. We had some people over in the business department over in Eberly help us out with a couple business majors. So it takes a lot more than just 1 or 2 coaches having contacts and knowing people, and it's a process.
It's a monumental job.
Correct.
Yeah, no question. Well, now you brought it up, the fact we're talking about high school players, 1 transfer, and I want to bring up, first of all, we'll start with the quarterback. You needed a quarterback. Max Sexton is a 6'1", 195-pounder out of Pittsburgh State. You were looking for a young man who had some experience, who had background. he come, and we have video courtesy of the Pittsburgh State people that John Smathers picked out for, so fans can take a look at that. The fact is he has 2 years of eligibility. How in the world did you come across him? I mean, this is a find. We know what Pittsburgh State has done, and here's a kid from Texas who played in Kansas, and now you got him here at IUP. How did this all come about?
Well, we the Monday after the Westchester game, we started the process, to be honest with you, and we saw that he was in the transfer portal, and I actually know the head coach at Pittsburgh State. He used to be at Toledo and Youngstown State and at Walsh College when I was at Akron. So, I emailed him and talked to him about the situation, and he was very high on Mac. They brought in, when Mac went to Pittsburgh State, it was a different head coach. So this year, Mac was the starting quarterback, and they recruited a freshman out of Florida that this staff recruited, that they talked about at the end of the year. That's who they were going to go with this upcoming season. And Mac had 2 years this year. He played great at Pitt State. I mean, if you look at his statistics and his consistency, and that may be the best conference in Division II football, other than maybe the one down south. And just everything we heard about him and in our dealings with him were just great. I mean, the kid gets it, wants to go somewhere and have a chance to win. I had been in a conversation with a head coach with another school in that league about something else, and his name got brought up, and the head coach said, I really can't believe that he's not going to be in our conference and that he's leaving. And when I said, well, we're in the process, we're close to getting him, I hope we get him, he thought he was one of the top 3 quarterbacks in their league. So
wow.
We thought very highly of him. As a matter of fact, Toledo actually was interested in him, knowing that the head coach used to be at Toledo.
Yes, right.
So the stars lined up. He was great. Another tie is he's originally from Buffalo. His dad, who's a great guy, was a trainer for the Buffalo Bills when Jim Kelly played there.
Oh, my.
So with Connor and Zach Kelly and their father and Jim, we kind of got that relationship restarted. And in December, before he came over for his visit, he and his dad went on a hunting trip up to Buffalo, because that's where I believe they moved when Mac was a little kid. He's still a big Buffalo Bills fan, but his father was born and raised in Buffalo, and they still have family up there. So that was probably the tie that kind of helped seal it, to be honest with you. And then when he came in on his visit, I'll tell you, the guys that did a great job recruiting him were Quentin Maxwell and Harry Woodbury. I sat in on Harry and I and Mac had dinner, and I was just listening to Harry talk, and he said, if you can't see what happened here in the last 2 years with a transfer quarterback, Harry was originally from Houston, Quentin originally from Kansas City.
Right.
So they're far away. Mac's originally from Austin, right around Austin, where the University of Texas is. Those two probably recruited him, had as much to do with recruiting him as we did. And I brought out the tweet that Quentin had after he finished the season here, the 3 or 4 days after the Shepherd game, and that tweet that he sent out about his time here at IUP. And Mac's dad was like, wow. He said, that's what we're looking for. But it went on, and it was a process, and he had a lot of other Division II schools heavily involved with them, and I believe he committed maybe a couple days before New Year's, and he was here ready to go for second semester. He drove in with his dad, and they made the track from Texas and got moved in, and he's in grad school right now. He's an unbelievable student. He graduated like a 3.8 in business at Pittsburgh State, so he's getting his MBA. And Harry's still going to school, and so is Connor. They all three live together.
Oh my gosh!
And they're all getting their MBA. And Harry's already got a semester in. Plus, he had some credits from when he was at Eastern Illinois. But Mac is starting obviously this semester, and Connor came back to start his MBA here in January. So all three of them are grad students in the business school. They live together. Obviously, Connor's playing linebacker for us, and Mac at quarterback. And Harry's actually going to help us coach this spring.
Oh, that's cool.
Harry wants to get into coaching, so I think he'd be a great coach. So this will be a good semi-internship for him, and he'll really help us this spring.
Wow, what a story! That's
right. That's what it takes.
That's a fabulous
to get guys like this. That's what it takes.
Well, you talk about family, Hawk family, that type of thing. Wow. Well, we're going to talk about the high school recruits. We got the quarterback here in place, so now let's see about these young men who come in and how they fit in. 22 signees. We're with Coach Paul Tortorella. We have a special edition here of Hawk Talk tonight. By the way, you want to catch us? You can catch us on WCCSradio.com and live on U92Radio.com. And we'll be back with Coach Tort right after we take a timeout right here on U92Radio.com and U92 Facebook page.
The Co-op store has the largest selection of IUP gifts and apparel. The Co-op is always there with its convenient location and hours. The Co-op store has been serving IUP and the Indiana community since 1933, and all profits are returned to the students through campus programs and activities. The Co-op has all your campus needs from the dorm to the classroom. Visit us online at www.iupstore.com.
Hey everyone, this is Ryan at Four Wheeling for Less, your local ATV and side-by-side dealership. We specialize in buying, selling, and servicing all major makes and models. In our sales department, we offer financing, warranties, and purchase appraisals. Our service department will keep you up and running for your next adventure, and our parts and accessories department can help you find whatever you're looking for. So whether you're looking to buy, sell, trade, or get service work done, visit our website, or give us a call, or stop by today.
Hi, this is Zach, and welcome to Gingerbread Man Running Company, proudly located in the heart of Indiana on Philadelphia Street since 2009. We offer the top models from the best brands of running and walking shoes. Stop in today for your free gait analysis from our expertly trained staff. We are happy to help solve any foot or shoe issue you may have. Please visit our website for more information. Gingerbread Man Running. Catch us if you can.
Welcome back, everybody. Jack Benedict with Coach Paul Tortorella. Special edition here of IUP Hawk Talk, and we're talking about the recruits. We heard the quarterback story, which was just a fabulous story. So, Coach, you went heavily for the WPIAL. You got 22 high school players. Let's go offense, defense. I'll tell you what, since you've been a defensive man a long time before the head coaching job, and you have more players on that side. Talk about the defense, what you were looking for, and some of these players and in particular as we go along.
Well, the first thing is, 2 years ago, if you look at the recruiting class, a lot of those kids played this year as freshmen. And, Montel Sims would have played if he didn't get hurt. And there are a couple other guys actually in that class that may have played if they didn't get hurt. So 2 years ago, we recruited just about a whole defense. And we said, you know what, we need to go out there and do that again this year. So we got 4 defensive linemen, 2 inside guys, 2 outside guys, 4 linebackers, and 6 defensive backs. The things that showed up is how hard they play, how physical they are, production. When you watch a highlight tape, they're all good plays, but a lot of production. The secondary players, the 3 kids from Central Catholic, they made play after play after play, and all 3 of them are really close friends and really good players, Barron, Younger, and Waddell. And one's a corner, one's a half-field safety, and the other guy's a down-in-the-box safety. They're all very physical, good size, great ball skills. The other DB's much the same. We got a 6'1" free safety from Alderdice in the city who's got a lot of talent, Noah Johnston. Kid from North Catholic that was hurt most of the year, Laconey. He probably, if he didn't get hurt, he had a bad injury his junior year in lacrosse, a spleen injury. Then he got hurt during the football season his senior year, so he didn't really play much until the playoffs. And then there's another kid that plays high school football in Philly. He actually lives in Delaware, right across the border. His dad played at West Virginia and played for the Dallas Cowboys, Frazier.
Kalen Frazier,
who's a really good player with the ball in his hands. Like, he was our Wildcat quarterback. He played receiver, but he showed a lot of skills as a corner. So we got 2 corners and 4 safeties out of that group, 4 really good linebackers. The Farrell linebacker is a smaller version, of like a Damon Lloyd type guy. He's not real tall. He's barely he might be 6 foot 5'11". He's 215 pounds, but he's built somewhat like him when Damon first got here.
You're talking about Strickland?
No, Tadon Strickland.
Tadon Strickland,
Yes.
5'10", 190.
Yes. And he was coached by Omar Stewart, who is at Farrell, whose son we signed. We signed Koval's son, okay?
Yes.
And we signed Alan Wright's cousin, Dante Bronfield, who's a linebacker, one of those linebackers from Elizabeth Forward. So there was a lot of, legacy type things just happened. But when I talk to those kids, I say, yeah, your dad played here. Yeah, your cousin played here, but they're not playing here anymore, so we're recruiting you. We're not recruiting you because of your
They're out of eligibility.
Yeah, they don't have any more eligibility. And the 4 down guys, we got the Bell Vernon defensive end, who's a great wrestler. His weight's down. He usually plays at 220. His weight's down because of wrestling. He's a really long, athletic.
This is Cole Waitman.
Yeah. Very good defensive end.
We have a shot of him there.
And he's a great wrestler. I want to say he's won the Whippeal the last 2 years in wrestling. So his weight's down a little bit. He's like 210 right now for wrestling. The defensive lineman from Elizabeth Forward was a guy that in the past we thought would be an FCS guy, but because of the COVID and the Murphy.
Nick Murphy.
Right. We got a defensive lineman from Woodland Hills, Jeffries. And then the other defensive end, originally committed to Colorado, a kid from Philadelphia. Tore his ACL during the season. He's 6'3", 210 pounds, real long.
Is that
DeKendrick Daniels?
DeKendrick Daniels.
His dad played 14 years in the NFL, Philip Daniels. So
Wow.
this kid plays like his dad played in the NFL. I mean, he has all the moves. He's a great pass rusher. He originally committed to Colorado, but when he hurt his knee, they kind of let him go. And we got in on him like fairly late in recruiting. He was here the last weekend. But he could be an unbelievable pass rusher at this level when he gets healthy, and he'll probably redshirt. I mean, he may be okay to get started again in the fall, but we'll probably redshirt him because he has to put some weight back on.
Yeah, they list him coach at 200.
Yeah, he played at about 218 during the season, got hurt. He's so fast and so long and so tall that he doesn't need to weigh. I mean, if he plays at 215, he's a big pass rusher. Edge pass rusher that can affect the game. Talking about his dad, we also had the Frazier's dad that played for West Virginia Cowboys, and then Aaron Smith for the Steelers. That's his son, the offensive lineman from North Allegheny. So,
is that right?
So we delved into NFL players' sons too. So we had a little bit of everything.
Oh yeah, Elijah
Smith,
6'4".
I didn't know his dad. Everybody kept saying his dad did something with the Steelers, or his dad does something with the Steelers. His dad does something with the Steelers. So he's in on his visit, and I'm looking at his dad, and I'm like, I know this guy this guy looks really familiar. He only weighs, like, I don't know what he weighed, 280, what he played. He's down to like 220. I mean, he looks great, but he's not anywhere near as big as he was with the Steelers. And then it finally hit me. That's who they were talking about.
Uh-huh.
And, he went to Northern Colorado when they were Division II, Aaron Smith. And they won the national championship.
Yes,
so he played Division II football.
I remember that, yes.
He was a 210-pound defensive end out of high school. And he ended up finishing at Northern Colorado at 270, and then the Steelers drafted him. And he played 9 years with the Steelers.
Yeah, he was a good player. Yeah.
So we've got some pedigree guys that dads have played in the league, and some Koval got inducted into the Hall of Fame last year. His son plays; he's a lineman.
Wyatt Koval is a 6'3", 275
offensive lineman from Upper St. Clair. So we had a little bit of everything.
Let me ask you about, here's somebody on the defensive side, Chris Hood, a linebacker out of Newcastle, 5'11", 220.
Right. The 2 Newcastle kids were heavily recommended by Joey Flora. Joey was an assistant coach there for a long time. I don't think he coached this year because he changed jobs. And right when our season ended, that first week, he called me and he said, I'm going to give you two guys. He said, Hood, the linebacker, and Fox, the offensive lineman. And we recruited both of them and signed both of them.
Yeah. Now Fox is huge.
Yeah, he's a
6'3",
big body.
310. Alex Fox.
Right, great feet, long arms.
There's a picture of him we have.
Campy was saying he reminded us of somebody, I can't remember who he said, that used to play for us back in the day at one time. I can't really remember who it was now off the top of my head. But he really is a guy that probably was going to go to Lackawanna to try to upgrade and go Division I.
Oh.
And his mom was set on, she wanted him to come here, and he wanted to come here, but Lackawanna was recruiting him pretty hard. You know, they turn those guys around in 2 years, and then they become Division I players.
Yeah,
I mean, Penn State just took a lineman from Mount Lebanon 2 years ago from Lackawanna. It was the same scenario. He was being recruited by Division II schools, and he went to Lackawanna to upgrade his value, and he's at Penn State now. So
here's another fellow linebacker out of Westchester.
Right.
Anthony Meadows,
Anthony
6'1", 205. So
Yep.
you pulled him right out of Westchester.
Yeah, he plays linebacker. He can play some stand-up defensive end. Very productive on his film. Is all over the field, sideline to sideline, runs around pretty good. All four linebackers were similar in that way. They run real well. So, you know, the Brownfield kid, Elizabeth Forward, they even played him some at safety. But he plays linebacker, and he'll grow into being a linebacker. He's only 185 pounds now.
We saw him on some of the video or still,
Right.
as a running back.
And he was a good runner. A lot of these kids played both ways
yeah.
and were really good.
Yeah.
It's like the Fox kid. He's an offensive lineman. But he's not bad on defense. And that's sometimes, you know, linemen, they just play the other side of the ball. They're tired. They're not in great shape, so they kind of mail it in. He actually was pretty good on defense. And, you know, same thing with the Felter, the lineman from Northgate. He was actually playing the D-line, and he was a pretty good defensive lineman too. So
Kevin Feltner,
Yes.
6'3", 285.
From Avonworth, right.
Yeah.
So-
well, you got two guys there from Avonworth, huh?
no, I think just the one Felter.
Oh, just the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Here's a question for you, Coach. Didn't see any quarterbacks or running backs among your recruits.
Right.
Explain that.
Very good question. I believe we have a really good chance of still signing a running back out of high school. That may be here in the next week or so. Quarterback, we recruited, it just didn't work out, but we're still in the market for a high school quarterback for sure.
Okay, so you wouldn't go the transfer route for another quarterback, probably?
Not right now. I mean, really, obviously, you don't look at that until after the spring, but we're still in the market for a young high school quarterback.
Okay. Yeah, you can't have enough quarterbacks, that's for sure. On the offensive side, and you've mentioned a couple. You mentioned Koval, you mentioned Fox, Felter. Let's take a look at wideouts, because you know, an Irvin Charles doesn't come along
Right.
every year.
Right.
Tell us about the wideouts.
Well, we got Omar Stewart's son. He's a bigger wideout. We've got Cy Burgess is a smaller, fast receiver, very similar in stature to a Q Carter type guy. Okay, play the slot, really fast. I think he's a 11 flat 100 meter. He's a track guy, and the Stewart Omar's son is 6'2". He's a longer, taller type receiver that
listed at 190
will
too.
play outside. Yeah, he's a bigger body. So we got a little fast guy inside, a longer, taller guy outside, and then the tight end we got is probably as you know, measurable wise, has the measurables that you see at the FCS level. Matter of fact, he originally committed to an FCS school and flipped over to us.
Aiden Johnson.
And they used him a lot like Grant Smith in high school. They split him out a lot. But this kid can play inside and block, and he does play he's a tight end. I mean, he's 6'5", 222 pounds.
Tord, I took a look at some video on him today.
Right.
And I saw what you're saying, how they split him out different times. The thing impressed me, downfield blocking.
Yeah, he can block. I tell you what, he can really run. I mean, he's got great speed for a guy 6'5". Very similar coming out of high school to Grant Smith. Grant, when he was playing in high school, they split him out a lot, and he didn't block as much in line as a tight end. Now he's become a really good inline blocker for us, but he hadn't done that a lot. He was more of a flex tight end in high school. Both like Grant and this Aiden Johnson kid now can get vertical because he's got great speed and he's got real long arms.
Conestoga Valley. I didn't know where it was till I looked. It's in the Lancaster area.
It's in the Lancaster area, yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we were. He's another guy. Like I said, he committed to a FCS school, and even up until about a week before the signing date, he had a couple FCS schools looking at him, and he had a couple really good preferred walk-ons to like Penn State, Rutgers, places like that. So he's talented. He's a guy measurable wise that he has all the measurables.
You mentioned the three offensive linemen in Koval and Felter and Fox. I have another guy here, Freeman
Wilson, a kid from outside of Harrisburg,
Susquehanna
Township. And then Elijah Smith. So we got 5 offensive linemen because we needed, you need a lot of offensive linemen to practice.
Well, you got a veteran line now this year.
And we're going to have 3 seniors next year in the offensive line. So you got to stay a year ahead. So next year, we got a lot of these DBs. We won't be recruiting as many DBs because they're all going to be fairly young. On offense, we have 3 seniors that are going to be starting next year in the offensive line. So you had to recruit them this year because you don't want to bring them in as true freshmen and hope to play them right away. So you got to kind of stay 1 year ahead of everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of like where we're at. Like tight end, we got tight ends that are pretty good, but one's a senior, one's a junior, and the other one's a sophomore. So, Grant Smith only has 1 year left. Suman only has 2, so we had to definitely get a tight end in this class.
Mm-hmm. All right. Interesting stuff. Stay with us. Coming up, we had some questions here from the audience that were passed along to us, and we have some other thoughts about IUP football in the future and what's happening. Our special edition here of IUP Hawk Talk, and Coach Paul Tortorella with us today. So we'll be back in just a moment, and coming your way on U92Radio.com. Be back right after we take this time out.
The Co-op store has the largest selection of IUP gifts and apparel. The Co-op is always there with its convenient location and hours. The Co-op store has been serving IUP and the Indiana community since 1933, and all profits are returned to the students through campus programs and activities. The Co-op has all your campus needs from the dorm to the classroom. Visit us online at www.iupstore.com.
Hey everyone, this is Ryan at Four Wheeling for Less, your local ATV and side-by-side dealership. We specialize in buying, selling, and servicing all major makes and models. In our sales department, we offer financing, warranties, and purchase appraisals. Our service department will keep you up and running for your next adventure, and our parts and accessories department can help you find whatever you're looking for. So whether you're looking to buy, sell, trade, or get service work done, visit our website, or give us a call, or stop by today.
Hi, this is Zach, and welcome to Gingerbread Man Running Company, proudly located in the heart of Indiana on Philadelphia Street since 2009. We offer the top models from the best brands of running and walking shoes. Stop in today for your free gait analysis from our expertly trained staff. We are happy to help solve any foot or shoe issue you may have. Please visit our website for more information. Gingerbread Man Running. Catch us if you can.
Welcome back, everybody. We're coming to you live with special edition here of IUP Hawk Talk with Coach Paul Tortorella. We're talking IUP football tonight, coming to you live from the CH Craft Kitchens here at the Hilton Garden Inn. Beautiful place, and not such a beautiful evening, but it's a great talking about IUP football. We talked about the recruits, the transfer. I have a couple of questions here from some of the fans. Coach, during the 2021 season, players could come back for an extra year. Is that all behind you now, or are there still players who can gain an extra year?
Well, it's the juniors now that have the extra year. The juniors that would have been seniors last year, stayed juniors. So now it's their turn to be. What people don't understand, you can only play 4 years.
Yes.
Like you can get extra years, and it might be 6 years, but you can still only play 4 years. So the guys that have one more year eligibility, we'll have a couple guys that'll graduate in the spring that'll still have another year, and they'll come back for the fall. Last year it was 4 or 5 of those guys, and it was the first group with the COVID. So it's really, like I said, until the freshmen end up graduating here, it's still going to be everything that happens in college football is like on a 4 and 5 year pattern. So now we have guys that are going to be seniors next year that if there wasn't COVID, like our seniors now, Robinson, Daryl Davis, Petropola, Dwayne Bryan, Q Carter. Those guys are all seniors next year. They would be done if there was no COVID. Last year would have been their last year.
Yeah, right.
So they were only juniors last year instead of seniors, whereas Dauberman, Evans, Anderson, and that group, it was their final year. But what people don't understand, you still can only play 4 years. And so then the following year, the next class would have been done if there was never any COVID. But now they'll still have their years because everybody lost a season. So that's the best way to explain it. You can only play 4, and everybody during the 2020 year lost a season. So that's why they got another year to play.
I remember years and years ago, and I'm sure you remember too, there was this story about the fellow who was 40-some years old, and he had a year of eligibility because he only played 3.
It doesn't matter. In Division II, the clock doesn't start and stop. Yeah. You could do it over a 20-year period, whereas in Division I, once your clock starts, you only get 5 years to play 4. Now, they got 6 because of the COVID, because they just, there was a year. They actually played, but they gave them another year at Division I.
Let me ask you about an update on DeJour Fisher, who was injured last year, and there were thoughts that he might not come back or do that. What is the latest?
Actually,
how's he doing?
It's not as bad. The damage wasn't as extensive as we thought. Mark, he's taking classes home online. This semester he's online, so he's not up here. But he'll be back in the fall, and he has a chance maybe to play in the fall.
Oh, that'd be great.
Right. So he's got this semester off online, taking 12 credits back home, and he's a guy that'll graduate in December of next year. So if he's healthy enough, he'll play his final year in the fall.
Oh, that'd be great. Knee injury, if you remember, folks. Great kid out of Aliquippa, and that'd be great if he could come back. You lost a couple of players to the transfer, I guess. Maybe just I don't know how many.
Our kicker,
Tyler
Luther, wanted to go back home to Shippensburg and go to school at Shippensburg. His dad works there at the university.
Well, I saw he has a brother that plays there.
His brother, maybe at the high school. His brother's a kicker at Eastern Michigan.
Oh, okay.
So, it had nothing to do really with football. He wanted to just go back home. So that's what happened. We got some kickers in the program that, red-shirted. And we're on the lookout for a guy out there. There'll be somebody. We've looked at a couple high school kids, and, there's a kid here now actually at the university that came in, and he had transferred in, but he had only been at the school that he came from for 1 semester, so he wouldn't be eligible. You have to have a year residency. So now he's eligible, so we'll bring him out in the spring.
He's a place kicker?
Yeah, and
okay.
He showed that he's not a bad kicker. He just was ineligible. So we'll see if we can get him out this spring and see what he can do.
Well, look how you found Dylan Grubbs.
Sure.
Yeah, looking out the window. And
yep, it was the same thing with this kid. This kid was out there kicking. I saw him. We talked, but he had only been to the school he came from. He was only there 1 semester, so automatically you have to put in a 1-year residency, 2 semesters. So he was automatically ineligible, so there was no need to bring him out this year. But we'll bring him out in the spring.
What's the who all with the running back situation? Of course, Hauser, got a red shirt last year, and he's back.
Right.
And Justice Evans was here forever.
Right.
And
Malik.
Give us Malik.
Right. Well, we got 4 on the roster right now. DeJour Stewart, Adam Hazard are both sophomores. Sirianni's a sophomore. Damian Woody that transferred in. He was ineligible last year. He's a sophomore. You know, he played a couple years ago at Edinburgh.
He was all conference, wasn't he?
Player, yeah. So those 4 are on the roster, and like I said, we're still recruiting a high school running back right now, and we may sign him here shortly, you know, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Well, let's see. We have another. Let's see. Andy from Luzerne. How does the quarterback compare to some from the past? So, in other words, how does Mac Sexton compare to what we've seen? And, of course, I don't want to say you got lucky. You just did your homework the last 2 years. You just talked about Quentin. You talked about Harry.
Right.
So how do you put in perspective, what type of quarterback are we going to see in him?
I think he's very similar to Harry. Not quite the size that Quentin had, but he is 6'2", and he's about 205 right now. So he's put together. He's got a really good body on him. And even though he's not, like Quentin was a bigger guy that had a really strong arm, Mac, you know, there's a clip on his highlight film. He threw the ball 68 yards in the air, and so that's thrown it pretty far. He's made a lot of throws that were throws that you had to have a lot of zip on the ball. You know, and much like Quentin and Harry, they made all the throws. You know, comebacks to the field, deep balls, seam routes. They were all 3 very similar. If you watch the video of Quentin when he was at Ohio U, the video of Harry when he was at Eastern Illinois, and the video of Mac at Pittsburgh State, there's a lot of similarities with all 3 of them. Mm-hmm. You know, not dual threat guys, but can move around pretty good in the pocket and get out of trouble.
Would you like to get another wideout?
Yeah, I mean, if we had the guys, you know, going into the fall, if we were on paper, the 3 starters obviously would be Carter, Braun, and Ridley. We got a couple other guys that, you know, Debner, Hauser's brother, who has a chance to be a player for us.
How about Hardy?
Hardy, who's been hurt. Probably if we were looking for a guy after the spring, I would say the position probably would be wide receiver.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, you don't find an Irv Charles.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, a one year deal.
Yeah, and
you know, I mean, that's you know, the 1 year guys are great, especially the grad transfer quarterbacks and like Irv. But what happens is it's some of the other positions that aren't those type of positions. You get a guy like Malachi Knoll, had 1 year, played at Youngstown, came here, started every game. First month of the season, just really was just playing okay, to be honest with you. The last 6 games, he played lights out and made all conference. Well, the reason is it takes a while to get assimilated.
To adapt.
Now, the problem is once you do get them assimilated, they're done. Mm-hmm. When they only play 1 year.
Well, look at Harry's situation.
Well, Harry,
he lost 2 games because of COVID.
He lost 2 games. You know, Irv lost 1 game. He didn't play in the Edinburgh game. But, you know, it's when you get guys, especially that are playing positions other than the skill guys, where it's a little bit, you got to get used to it a little bit more, like linebacker, O-line, D-line. You finally, after a year, they're ready. And if they're only 1 year transfers, they're done. Mm-hmm. Their last game's their best game, and you don't have them anymore. And like Knoll played great the last 4 games of the year. He was the best player on our defense. And the problem now is he's out of eligibility.
His buddy at linebacker, Connor Kelly, is going to be back.
Right. Well, there's another guy that had 2 years. He was the same way. First 4 or 5, and then he had missed a game or 2 with an injury. Was getting used to doing things because he had never done the things that we do when he was at Edinburgh. They either blitzed him every play or they put him on the edge and had him rush the passer. So it took him a while to get used to playing linebacker in our defense, much the same. Last 4 weeks of the season, he played his best 4 games. Now we're fortunate enough that he does have another year because he's going to go to grad school. Mm-hmm. If he decided not to go to grad school, it would have been the same thing with him as Knoll. You finally got him to where you got him assimilated, and then they're not playing anymore.
Yeah. Schedule-wise, First two games are on the road at
Right.
East Stroudsburg and at Shippensburg. I know you've talked about and you're trying to get an 11th
Right.
game. That still is a process?
Yeah, I mean, it's a process. It's frustrating. It's basically got to be a home game because we're not going to go play 3 road games in a row at the beginning of the year on the road. Much less doing it, but budget-wise and financially, it's not very good.
Sure.
So we got to find somebody to come here, and that's not easy. A couple Mountain East schools we tried to get, and they decided to play somebody else. So it's not an easy process. When you're locked into a series with somebody for 2 years, like we were with Ashland, my first 2 years, that's great. Home and home, you're good. But you got to kind of get ahead of these things, year 2, 3 years in advance to schedule a good game against a team that's comparable in the region. The other thing is it doesn't do you a whole lot of good to play a team outside your region. It's just like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at.
Well, you brought up Ashland. So I understand you've got a 4-year contract coming up starting in 2023, home and home?
Right. And, kind of wish it was 22 to 25, but we couldn't do it because they had somebody for 21 and 22. So we're going to do a 4-year, 23 at home, 24 on the road, 25 at home, 26 on the road, and it'll be great. I mean, even they said, hey, our 2 games were great games.
Yeah.
And they got the short end of the stick. They lost both of them. But they said they were great games. We loved it. We'd love to play it in an opener every year. We're in region now because Ashland's now in our region because they're in that Ohio conference and they're not in the GLIAC anymore. Mm-hmm. So it makes even more sense to play them. Al King, their AD, was here. So he knows, and he was like, this is a perfect match. And I thought it was, too. I thought our 2 games with them, in the 5 years I've been the head coach, those 2 games may have been 2 of the best games, for fans here at Miller Stadium and not at Ashland that we've had in the 5 years I've been the head coach.
Well, you brought up the fact of about fans, and the fans can associate with Ashland,
Right?
Because also with the women's basketball programs,
Sure.
they have so it's not like if you had somebody from some other state,
Right, and it's not far.
No,
it's
at
not
all.
very. I mean,
No.
it's a 3.5-hour trip, which was great. They made it here the first year, and. Both games were Thursday night games, so I'm sure we'll look into that too when we do it.
Oh yeah,
That makes sense also. So I think it'll be good. And like I said, both sides we're all in on it. And even though they lost both games, they thought it was great. It was a positive thing for their program, and so I think that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. We thank you, Todd and Al, the ADs
Yep.
for that. Todd Garzarelli and Al King. We're going to be back in a moment. We have about another 15 minutes to go with Coach Tortorella and our special here with Hawk Talk on IUP football, and we'll return in just a moment. You can catch our show on WCCSradio.com or U92Radio.com. We'll be right back.
The Co-op store has the largest selection of IUP gifts and apparel. The Co-op is always there with its convenient location and hours. The Co-op store has been serving IUP and the Indiana community since 1933, and all profits are returned to the students through campus programs and activities. The Co-op has all your campus needs from the dorm to the classroom. Visit us online at www.iupstore.com.
Hey everyone, this is Ryan at Four Wheeling for Less, your local ATV and side-by-side dealership. We specialize in buying, selling, and servicing all major makes and models. In our sales department, we offer financing, warranties, and purchase appraisals. Our service department will keep you up and running for your next adventure, and our parts and accessories department can help you find whatever you're looking for. So whether you're looking to buy, sell, trade, or get service work done, visit our website, or give us a call, or stop by today.
Hi, this is Zach, and welcome to Gingerbread Man Running Company, proudly located in the heart of Indiana on Philadelphia Street since 2009. We offer the top models from the best brands of running and walking shoes. Stop in today for your free gait analysis from our expertly trained staff. We are happy to help solve any foot or shoe issue you may have. Please visit our website for more information. Gingerbread Man Running. Catch us if you can.
Welcome back, everybody. It's our final edition here of our special Hawk Talk with Coach Paul Tortorella, football coach at IUP. And when you have a head coach, you have to have a lot of assistants and good ones. And, of course, you gave a lot of credit earlier, and deservedly so, to your coaches who really chimed in and helped get these 22 young men who are the recruits. And that's a major part of coaching. It's not just going out with the X and O. So you owe a lot to them because you've been there.
Well, yeah, you can't. I mean, recruiting, you got to – you got to understand, first thing you have to do is you got to acquire the right kind of talent. You know, they got to be good academically, they got to be good socially, they got to have good character, and they got to be good football players. So you got to have a good coaching staff to go acquire the talent, bring them in. You know, we have 2 coaches on our staff, and not counting me, that have been here and played here for 25 years. So they have a footprint in the sand, so to speak, and that goes a long way with parents, believe me. And they do a great job because they have all the answers about everything at the university. Just experience. Experience sure. is the greatest thing you could have. And then once you get them here, you got to develop them. Everybody said, well, you had 64 all-conference players the last 4 years, way more than anybody in the PSAC. So you must be recruiting the best players. And I said, well, maybe, but all 64 of them, I don't think when they came here they were all conference players when they first got here. So recruiting, you got to get them here. That's the hard part. But the harder part is developing them once they get here. Like, people think recruiting, we're done and it's over, and now they're going to show up in August, which is true. Well, it kind of it's really just starting. The development of them is just starting when they get here in August. And over 4 or 5 years, what are they when they leave here? And that's the whole thing that, you know, we sell in our program, is we feel like we do a good job developing the student athletes, obviously as football players, but also academically, socially, community service. Our goal is when a guy leaves here, he's a better version of himself than when he got here. And he might not do it football-wise, but he's got other things that we think are important. So it's a process, and you can't do it without a great coaching staff. They do a lot of the leg work, a lot of the running around, touring. I'll bet you our assistants log 15, 20 miles on campus throughout. We had 9 visit days. So, you know, I guarantee they walked 2 or 3 miles every one of those visit days with people, and it wasn't real warm out. Every day was like in the teens or below the teens, and so and then driving them around in vans. And it's not easy. You know, at the Division I level, you have all kind of support staff that does all that. That doesn't happen at this level. We as coaches and the coaching staff has to do it, and our trainer meets with every recruit. Our strength coach meets with every recruit. So it's a process it's a full day when they're here, but you do a lot more than that leading up to that day when you recruit them. You're on the phone with them constantly. You're answering questions. The high school coaches, we have a lot of great, like you say, Western Pennsylvania, 14 kids from Western Pennsylvania. Coach Campola and myself have recruited Western PA for over 25 years. So we have really good relationship with the high school coaches. And we're at the same school. There's coaches that have recruited Western Pennsylvania for 20 years, and they might have been at 3 or 4 different schools. We've come in there with IUP on our sweater every year. So that goes a long way. So that's a big part of it, too, is the relationships with the high school coaches.
Speaking of coaches, you brought a coach in, co-defensive coordinator, Zach Johnson, familiar name when I thought. I bet that's Dave's kid, Dave Johnson, who was here back when and coached with you way back. When 25 years ago?
Yes, when I first came here as the defensive corner, Dave was the offensive coordinator. Zach was 4 years old. You know, Dave had 4 kids. I had my 2 oldest at that time. So we spent a lot of time together, and I remember Zach when he was 4 years old. He's got a younger brother, Mark, that's a year or 2 younger than him. And he was, for a 4-year-old, he was amazing. He was a sports fan. Like, he knew things about sports at 4. Like, they said every time he woke up in the morning, he put Sports Center on. Most kids put cartoons on. He had Sports Center on. But anyway, he's had a lot of success as a coordinator at the Division II level. He learned defensive football when he was at West Virginia, and then he was a grad assistant at Ohio U, places that have done a good job defensively. And like I said, he's done a great job, in a Division II program as the coordinator. And then obviously, like I tell him, like I tell the kids we recruit, hey, we're not bringing you here because you're Dave Johnson's son. We're bringing you here because you're a good football coach, a good person, and we think you can bring a lot to the table for us defensively. We finally have a full defensive staff for the first time in 2 years in regards to the people leaving at inopportune times. We really were never fully staffed on defense all last year, and then the year before we didn't play, so it was COVID, so it really wasn't that big of a factor. But Jalen Harrison's on defense with us now. He did a great job last year. We're moving him back to the defensive line. See, he was originally going to coach the defensive line last year, and Anthony Leonard was coaching the linebackers. When Anthony left, we had to move Jalen, the linebackers, and then bring in Kenny Johnson late on an interim basis to coach the defensive line. So we scrambled, and then we got hit with the COVID for the first 2 weeks with our coaches on defense, and it was a rough first month of the season. So now we feel good. We've got all of our defensive coaches in place, and we think that Zach's going to bring a lot to the table for us.
How about on the offensive side? You're looking for a coordinator.
Yeah, we're looking for a coordinator, and we're looking for a restricted earnings receiver coach.
Okay.
Coach Box is looking to pursue other opportunities outside of coaching. I think he's a great football coach and could be a great football coach. But the route he's going, I really see him being very successful. See, the thing is, he played with a lot of guys in his era that are now out and in the business world, and they're doing tremendous.
Well, his dad's a businessman.
And his dad's a businessman, and all the kids he played with are doing terrific in the business field. Sales, the Meisners, the Charmos, and I'm forgetting guys, Carnicellas. I mean, you name it. All those kids he played with are out, and they're doing really well. So he's done a great job as the recruiting coordinator, finalizing this whole thing. And, he's an IUP guy. He played here, has enjoyed his time here, and I think he just kind of he's getting up. He's not old, but he's been in this profession about 8 or 9 years now, and just kind of thinks like that's kind of where he wants to go, opportunity-wise. So we're looking for an offensive coordinator and a receiver coach.
All right. Well, we've covered the coaches, and we've covered a lot of things here, but, you said, I think when we started this, that the process is just beginning.
Right.
What I like to do is like 2 years after recruiting classes, go back and take a look at the names. Say, wow, this fellow, don't know. This guy turned out great. You just have no idea.
Right.
Till
you don't. We've brought guys in that were heavily recruited and maybe didn't do as much as we thought they would, and then we brought guys in that we. Nobody else recruited, and they ended up being great players. So it's the Tom Brady syndrome. I tell that to every recruit that comes in. It's not an exact science. When Tom Brady gets drafted in the 6th round, and he's going to be the best quarterback probably to ever play in the NFL, it's not an exact science.
Well, that's like your son Zach, who of course is in the baseball world and pursuing his career there coming out of high school. I tell the baseball people about Mike Piazza. Look, he was way back. They had so many rounds then. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Right. So you just got to create your own experiences, and then when you get your chance, like here at the college level, the thing everybody that comes through here has got value, and they're going to have an opportunity. They just got to take advantage of it. Some do, some don't.
Exactly. Well, we've sat in for the basketball teams here tonight, with the football. The basketball teams will be back in action here soon. Hopefully we'll get our fans back soon, that sort of deal. And it's been, you talk about the year you had. I can relate to what you're talking about.
I see it in basketball, and we got to play every game. And it really, we lost a guy here. We lost a couple coaches. You get tested every week. but we never. It's not like what basketball's going through. You know, we didn't miss any practices. We played every game on time. We didn't have to cancel games. That's tough on our
there are some opponents,
players and coaches.
You know, that we see that they haven't played for 10 days, 12 days, and 5 lost games, and you know, it's just a lot to handle.
Right.
But you got to give I think the athletes have done a lot better than the adults.
And I think our coaches do a great job.
They do.
Mentoring them and getting them through the tough times and just trying to take advantage of what we do have. You know, I talk to Joe and Tom a lot, and sometimes I'm like, man, I don't know how you guys do it. And, you know, you have to.
Yeah,
you can only control what you can control. And I think those two guys do a great job of, you know, obviously navigating through these tough times with their kids and their program. So a lot to be said about that.
We are planning to have next Thursday, the 10th, and then the 24th with 2 basketball. Again, have the coaches in here, Coach McConnell and Coach Lombardi, and we'll talk some IUP basketball then, anything else that may come up. Tort, thanks a lot. Appreciate it a lot. We do this every year. The years go by quickly, but we look forward. Oh, I know one thing I have to ask. When do I have to show up for spring practice? When are you starting?
Well, we're planning starting on March 25th and then end in April 25th. We may delay it a week depending on, you know, where we are coaching staff-wise, but we'd like to start on March 25th because you only have a certain amount of time, and we can't really go past April 25th because you can't do anything a week before finals. So that's as late as we can go. But we'll get it worked out.
Okay, good.
I'll let you know, though, when we're out there.
I know you will.
We won't go out there without you.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. We want to thank John Smathers for getting the video and, you know, the information on the background of the players, and Mark Burdick for helping out here tonight, as always. And Carrie Rako's around the corner there. She's helped us, too. Thanks to Coach. And to all of you, thank you for tuning us, and we'll see you again with Hawk Talk from the Hilton Garden Inn.